Welcome to this week's edition of the Statesman's Central Texas High School Football Webcast. I'm Rich Tiarena, along with Alan Trudeau and Rick Cantu, here to go over the highlights and the lowlights of last week's games. And Rick, we've got to start off with the Westlake story, probably the story of the week around here. What did you see? You were actually there.
It's one of the most unfortunate stories I've ever seen in high school sports. The player from Westlake, Matt Nader, was sitting on the sidelines and he fell backwards, and no one thought anything of it first until he didn't get up. And long story short, the next 5 minutes he had his parents giving him CPR. He had two anesthesiologists helping with the CPR, and then he had a cardiologist come over and give him a defibrillator. And between the five of them, they actually they kept him alive, so to speak, before he got in the ambulance and went to the medical center in College Station. And as a lot of you already know, he has been declared out for the rest of this season. In fact, he's not going to be playing football ever again, even for the University of Texas beginning next year. He had been looking forward to that, and Derek Long has already been looking for replacements, but the important thing is the kid is alive. He's going to do well, and we can be sad about him not playing and so forth, but under the circumstances, we can all rejoice in that he is living.
Yeah. Well, this was going on Friday night. I was curious, were you watching this from the press box, or did you run downstairs, try to get on the sideline to get a closer view, or where were you?
I was in the press box, and Westlake was on the opposite side, the visitor side, so I actually didn't get a good view. And the thing about the whole thing is that the whole thing took about 5 minutes between the CPR and the man that came down with the defibrillator, Dr. Tucker. The whole thing took no longer than 5 minutes, and then the EMS got there in a hurry. Even if I had run down and gone over there, the whole thing would have been over. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I left the game before they restarted, not knowing that they were going to stop. I was just going to go to the hospital and just report from there and forget about the game. And as it turns out, they stopped the game about the same time that I was getting to my car. So I just drove to the medical center, and that's about it.
Tragedy withstanding, this obviously is going to have to be looked at. Does this have any kind of an impact on Westlake's season? Good or bad, inspirational, down?
I think it's going to be a down in the long run, because in the short run he might get motivated, but he's a 300-pound all-state tackle who's good enough to play for the University of Texas. And no matter who they put in that position, and it looks like it's going to be a young man by the name of, I believe,
Ross Cooper.
Ross Cooper. He's only 210 pounds. He might be the meanest guy in the bunch, but my goodness, a 300-pounder, and then to lose it to this guy.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to affect them. I'm sure, and who knows how it'll affect them emotionally, but obviously on the playing field, when just talking about, you can't replace Matt Nader with somebody else who's going to do just as good of a job as him. That being said, you're still talking about a very, very good football team.
Very good team.
Absolutely.
With a lot of talent on offense. So I guess we'll just have to see. I think it'll affect the running game more than it will the passing game.
Well, district play is right around the corner, so we're going to find out one way or the other. When we get back, let's talk a little bit more high school football. Give out some game balls. Player of the week from last week as well.
Let's do it.
Well, last week was a big one for high school football. A couple of big surprises as well in the upper and lower ranked classifications. Let's give out some game balls, guys. Who stuck out in your mind for you last week?
I'm going with. Can we give out a lot of game balls for my one game ball? Because I'm going with the entire Liberty Hill team. I can't really narrow it down because everybody frickin' scored.
Yeah.
They scored 84 points. 84 points. That's unbelievable. I'm pretty sure one of the little sisters scored in the middle of the game. They were. They scored 84 against Gatesville, and that's a team that had beaten Cameron Yo the week before.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not sure how to look at this game. That's how lopsided and unbelievable it was when it was up on the board. When I came back. I mean, is Liberty Hill that good? Is Cameron Yo that bad? I mean, I guess we'll find out this week when Liberty Hill plays Cuero. But yes. I'm going with the whole team.
Somebody gave a game ball out to the McCallum defense last week. That was 11 balls, so
That was me
You know,
too.
if you want to give out 45 or 50, I don't know how many are on the Liberty Hill roster, but go ahead.
However many, Jerry Vance, they all deserve it.
Well, the expense report is going to be a little bit higher, so 45 game
Yeah.
bucks. Oh my goodness.
It's all right. We're worth it.
That's going to be costing like $1,000.
That's right. You could take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Who'd you like from last week, Rick?
I liked Michael Buse, senior running back from Wimberley. He was one of the stars of the team that went 15-0 last year in one
Right.
state. He finally got on track after kind of a slow start this year. He ran for 207 yards in a victory over Luling. Looks like he may be hitting his stride at the right time because they got such a bad start, but they've got too much talent to be down for too long. But Michael Buse gets my game ball.
I think this week's Player of the Week probably goes to Chase Rich, Westwood quarterback. Engineered a huge win last week for the Warriors, 35-3 over a pretty good Lake Travis team that was highly regarded. And I think last week Coach Wood told us, you better pick us. We're going to wear them down. We're bigger. And I didn't believe him.
Forget wearing him down. They just beat him from the beginning.
Yeah, 35-3
You
was.
need to wear him down.
Yeah,
It's a Class 5A team beating a 4A team and showing no mercy.
it was. So Chase Rich is this week's Player of the Week. When we get back, we'll go over this week's games.
Welcome back to our Central Texas webcast. Today we are very fortunate to have a special guest, and that is George Brazil. He really doesn't need an introduction in this newspaper. He worked here for 45 years, sports writer, 47 overall with San Antonio. And George, what did you enjoy most about sports writing, and especially at the high school level, because you were there longer than anybody?
Really, I think it was, I guess you'd call it the gratitude factor. When you write about high school athletes, they seem to appreciate it more than pro or college athletes do. I mean, not putting down either one of them, but I guess you could call it the humility factor or something.
Sure, and in the year 2000, and what are we in, 2006, how has athletics at the high school level changed over the years?
Specialization, I'd say. When I was in high school, or I started out early in the sports writing career, you had athletes who played everything. You still have a few, like Nick Foles at Westlake, who was a basketball and football player, but I don't think you have as many.
Recruiting has changed a little bit, it seems. It seems like every year it gets more intense. What is your view of the recruiting factor?
I was just this afternoon talking to Dick Magel, who's an All-American player at Rice back in the mid-'50s. And we were talking about that, and he said that, and we both agreed that it's become so much more pressure-filled because there aren't any more sleepers. A kid from a small school is as likely to go to a football camp as a kid from a big school, and once they get to a football camp, every college coach knows what their potential is.
A lot of our viewers might not know this, but you retired, how many years ago has it been?
Summer of '95.
Summer of '95, but you're working just as hard now as you were back then, and now you're a columnist.
Well,
What is it about columns that you like rehashing your best memories or something?
Well, yeah, I'm the only one who can remember most of the stuff I write about. I've been around so long.
That's there's some truth to that. Did you have a favorite team?
Well, my alma mater, but you're not supposed to say that.
No, you can say it. You're talking about Burnett?
Yeah.
Well, they've had some good years.
Well, I died a little when they lost those. Well, actually, they lost 3 state championship games. They lost one in '91, and then 2002 and 2003.
Well, they've gone a long way, and then of course they won a big one last week. You might want to brag about that.
Well, I was surprised to learn that they'd beaten Brownwood, a 7-time state champion, although not recently. I mean, Brownwood's last state championship was in '85, I think, but even so, it's nice to beat somebody with a reputation like that.
Well, George, it's been a pleasure. I know that a lot of people have known you for, well, more than 50 years now, and thank you for being on our show today. And
You're welcome. It's a privilege.
you're the first media person we've had, and probably the last.
Thank you for having me.
All right, another week, another week's worth of games, another week of Alan Trudeau domination in the picks race. You think you widened your lead probably by another 5 games last week.
You guys act like this is surprising.
It is surprising to me, only because I won last year.
Yeah, but I, was new to the area. Now, obviously, the brains of the bunch is rising to the top.
Yeah. It's not a problem. Rick and I have decided to ally against you for the rest of the way. So.
Shaking in his boots.
Let's move into this week's games. Some of the better games this week are in the lower schools, 3A and below. A couple of real good ones in 3A, starting with probably our game of the week, Giddings and Hutto. This is played at Hutto. I'm going Giddings, by the way.
You're going with Giddings?
I'm going with
I'm
Giddings.
going with Giddings. I'm going with Giddings because I know that Alan's going to go with Hutto because he likes Hutto all the time.
I like Lee Penland, and I'm backing him on this one.
Lee Penland is a great coach, but Giddings has an outstanding football team. They've got great running backs. They all run track, and they're not going to be denied this year. I think Giddings is going to take it this year in district.
Would love to see that game. I'm going to go with Giddings, though. They're ranked higher in state. I'll go with them.
Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah. What's our name?
No, I'm going with Hutto. I think Lee Penland's going to pull it off. I think that Giddings has more talent, but Hutto didn't have nearly as much talent as Tatum did last year in that championship game, and they almost pulled that one off. I think that this is going to be a huge win for them in terms of confidence this year.
And speaking of highly ranked teams in state, our second game that we're going to pick, Liberty Hill at Cuero, ranked number 1. Liberty Hill rolling 84 points last week. Does that affect anything?
I don't think so. I'm going to go with Cuero on this one just because last year Liberty Hill could not keep up with Cuero's speed. I don't think they're going to be able to. This year Cuero's got a couple of very good receivers. One's Trey Gray, the other Corey Scott. Both of them, I think there's going to be a little bit too much speed for Liberty Hill to keep up with unless I'll tell you what, if Liberty Hill wins this game, and I'm going to apologize to Jerry Vance, it's going to be pretty boring because they're going to have to be pounding out 3- and 4-yard gains over and over again.
Isn't that what Liberty Hill loves to do, though?
They've done it for a couple of years now. I'm going with Liberty Hill. Any team that can score 84 points against anybody has got to be pretty darn good. So I'm going to go with the upset. I know that Cuero beat them pretty good last year, but I'll go with the hot team, and that's Liberty Hill right now.
I think the Panthers can definitely surprise them, but I'm going to go with the Gobblers. Mark Reeve, traditionally a very good defensive coach there at Cuero, and I think that probably puts the favor back over to Cuero. I'll go with Cuero.
Man. So Rick loses another game.
Last game is on the 4A ranks, the 17 4A district game. Lanier and LBJ this week. 2 probable playoff teams, or not necessarily in that district.
I would assume 2 playoff teams. That's what it's looking like right now. But you never know. I think Elgin and Maynard could have some say in that. They could affect that race. Anyway, I think I'm going to go with Lanier.
Yeah, I'm going with
for
Lanier.
Obvious reasons.
I'm going with Lanier too, just because I don't want to lose another game to you.
If you asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said LBJ, but after Lanier gave McCallum such a good game last week and scored a lot of points, I think they'll outscore LBJ. LBJ is a very good football team, especially on defense, but their offense hasn't come around yet. I think this is going to be a mild upset if you call it. Maybe you don't even call it a mild upset, but I'm taking Lanier.
All right, 3 for Lanier. You can match wits against us, and in Alan's case, it's probably futile, but if you want to go up against me and Rick, you're welcome to get online at statesman.com/pick'em, and you get to this week's games, last week's rankings, and let the fun begin.
And we're going to catch them.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.